Awesome. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We've got our attendees filing in. I'm Rebecca with Parrot. We're going to give it a few minutes to let people join, and then we'll get started. See a bunch of people joining. Welcome to Parrot Analytics Live. If this is your first time, and if you've been to many of our webinars before, welcome back. If you have, then you always know we like to ask where everybody is zooming in from. So you can use the chat room and let us know where you are zooming in from. I'm zooming in from Los Angeles. Audrey, where are you at?
I'm in São Paulo, Brazil.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so we will give it a minute or so. Welcome, everybody. If you've just joined.
Would you like me to share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead and share your screen, and then we'll get started in a minute or so. Let us know where you're coming in from in the chat. We love seeing where everybody is.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes, we can. Okay. All righty. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know we've got a few more people joining in, but I think we'll go ahead. We have a lot to cover today. Hi, everybody. My name is Rebecca Zabarski with Parrot Analytics. I'm the VP of Brand and Strategic Partnerships here at Parrot. And today we have a very exciting Parrot Analytics Live webinar talking about all things animation. Our Partner Insights Manager here, Audrey Pascale, is going to share a lot on the topic. And something I'm really excited about is to see more about the demographic information behind demand for animation. We have a lot of really interesting info that breaks down who is engaging with animation, and it's not always who you think. So I think that will be a really interesting point during the webinar. I'm going to be manning the chat room. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer while Audrey is presenting. If we can't get to your question now, then we can follow up later. And we do have some of the questions that you submitted when you registered. So we've got a few questions at the end that Audrey will address already. I want to give a special welcome to our Demand 360 Lite and Enterprise customers. Welcome and thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And also a big thank you to everybody who's joining from far away. We know it might be very late where you are. So we appreciate you being here and spending your time with us. I'm going to disappear now. And like I said, I'll be in the chat, and then I'll pop back up for that Q&A at the end. So Audrey, go for it.
So thanks, Rebecca. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. So as Rebecca said, I am Adriana Pascale. I'm based here in São Paulo, Brazil, and I'm gonna be talking today about animation. So as you may know, the animation is having a moment, and I will showcase the power of it and some applied solutions that we can have using our demand data. But before we dive in, I'm going to give you a brief overview about what demand is and why it is an important metric in the entertainment industry. So, as you may know, we live in an attention economy. Time is the most valuable resource on the planet. And as Reed Hastings, the CEO from Netflix, said, we are competing for our customers' time. In the beginning, the demand was according to the offer, the supply offer. So, but now with the OTT services, the attention is one-to-one, which means that consumers can choose
Audrey,
what they want to watch.
We lost your audio.
Where and how they want to watch. And
Audrey?
In the context of content, which will be our topic today, we're thinking about networks, platforms, brands, shows, movies, all of these are competing for your time, But besides of all these good opportunities today, the time is the same. We still have 24 hours a day, so only the best content will survive. And so here at Parrot, we measure and quantify this attention through what we call demand. So when we talk about attention economy, just like any other classic economy, we have two important components. We have supply and demand. And what determines the value of the product is the relationship between them. And this is the same when we talk about content. So in this way, what we do as a company is to measure demand and supply for content. Let's start with the left side of the chart, where we have supply. So on the supply side, we are looking at different ways that people access the content. So our system captures and identifies all the supply that the audience engage with. So for example, TV shows, move, talents, topic, and brands, and the themes associated with the show. For example, what type of genre is the content, what platform it is available on, how it was released, and etc. And when it comes to talent, it includes age, gender, and country of origin, for example. On the right side, we have demand, where we are capturing consumers' behavior by tracking as many sources as we can through downloading content, social sources, activities, and etc. And because we are capturing behavior signals from over 2 billion consumers daily and not relying on samples, we can offer an empirical form of measurement that is much more reflective of market interests. But to help you to understand this and to illustrate the consumer journey, I'm going to use an example here. So what we usually do when we discover a new content. So let's say that for example, I'm driving my car and I see a billboard with a Squid Game. I may then go research it a little bit on Google, for example, to read more about it and see if it's for me. Then I might go to social media and see what people are talking about it, or if my friends are following it, and I might decide to follow it or join the conversation. Then I will probably go and watch a trailer or any other clip on the YouTube or another platform. And if I don't have access to the content, whatever reason, I may decide to watch it on an open stream platform. So all these digital attention signals, including social, like, comments, follows, social media, research, will be captured in our system over time. Oh, sorry. Okay, so at the end, we take all of these signals and weight them based on the amount of time and effort required to have this interaction. So this way, liking something on social media would be weighted lower than someone going out of their way to download and watch the content. We do this for all content across all platforms, in all languages, in all markets. So this way, we are the only global measurement system that it is apples to apples across markets. And we offer our demand solutions both through our Demand 360 platform and through our custom insights projects. So at its core, what we do is to help entertainment companies understand where audience attention is and how to best monetize that attention. Here is our agenda for today's presentation. We will be highlighting audience profile, global trends, and how the entertainment industry can work with animated content to attract and retain audience. So let's have some fun, and let's kick off the presentation with audience demographic. Just a little bit of context about animated content and demographics. So in the beginning, the animated content was aimed at adults. At that time, we had Disney characters being used as advertisers against Nazism during the Second War. In the 50s, the content started to be targeted at children. So we have here the Flintstones as a good example, which was gaining popularity for dealing with family themes, allowing parents and children to watch together. And then we have in the 80s, when MTV was launched, we were able to see some animated content aimed at a young audience who grew up watching cartoons. And the formats began to appear in music video clips. And today, the content is to everyone. And I would like to share something here. Sometimes I like to watch animated content. It takes me back to some good memories, to some good times. And I believe this is the magic of animation. It can take you back to revisit good moments. And I'm pretty sure that everyone here feel the same. So tell us in the chat about your favorite animated content. I would love to know. And given that context, let's look in some insights, audience insights examples. So why adults are so engaged with animated content? First, most of them watched cartoon as a child. The format is familiar and comforting, and it is a good option to consume after a long day at work. And the third reason that I see here is that productions have high quality. And this slide, we include some animated TV shows, most in demand, in the Q2 2022, and the generation scales with its demand multiplier. Here at Parrot Analytics, we contextualize our demand measurement as a country-specific multiplier that reflects the local market audience demand for any movie, show, or talent against the average. So as an example, in the second quarter of 2022, Attack on Titan has a demand multiplier of 72, meaning that in this period, in the global market, Attack on Titan has generated, on average, 72 times higher demand than the average title. In addition, we have here the audience demographics, where we can see that Attack on Titan, Jujutsu leaning more to Generation Z, which refers to people from 13 to 22 years old, SpongeBob and Paw Patrol to Xenials, and South Park and The Simpsons to millennials. And we know that, despite the existence of cartoons and animations aimed at adults, a good part of Xenials, for example, still consume content aimed to kids. And probably because it is a type of content that has a high co-viewing, so adults and kids, they can watch together. I don't have kids, but all of my friends that does, they know everything about animated content, the music, the name of the characters, and so on. And what are the questions that the audience data can answer for us? So, for example, who is expressing the demand for my content? As a marketer, given the above, what audience should I target for advertising? As a platform or studio, what are the opportunities to create a new content that is popular with a certain specific demographic? And by the way, our next product to be launched will be the audience insights, which will be available on the 360 portal for our clients. So now let's talk a little bit about the global trends.
Audrey, can you hear me?
Here we see the global demand indexed to the Q1 2020 by subgenres. And we can see that during the pandemic, we were able to see that during the pandemic, time in front of television increased, and also the time watching content on streaming platforms. People had to find new ways of having fun indoors. So streaming games, even more relevance with social isolation. We can see here that some of the genres had a greater boost, especially animation and children content, as reflected by the green and blue lines in the chart. So meaning that content can be a great escape from difficult time. And by using this, we can understand the content genre trends and what people are looking for, which leads us to the next slide. So here in this view, we see the demand share on the vertical line against the global supply share on the horizontal line of all titles. And we can see that in the yellow box, we have the area of opportunity with action and adventure, children and animation genres, where we have high demand, but still low supply to meet their demands. And the bubble size represents the number of titles by genre. On the right side, we can see the two titles most in demand by each genre. So for example, when we are talking about action and adventure, we have Moon Knight and The Boys. And how can I use this data? So for example, to identify white space opportunities, to long-term acquisitions and development decision making. And now let's focus on these three genres, considering only animated content, and deep dive in the subgenre data to have more granularity on the information. So here we have the subgenres, and we are adding another slice in this view, which is the country of origin. And we clearly see that Japanese animation is standing above the other subgenres at the quadrants where we have the good performance genres with high demand and high supply. We also see that animated comics from Japan and preschool from the US can be a good opportunity as they have high demand, but still not enough supply to meet their demand. On the right side, some examples with the most in demand title by each subgenre. And just to highlight here the power of anime content, Attack on Titan was the most in demand show globally in 2021. Now, shifting to momentum data, just to give you an explanation about this metric. Momentum indicates how fast demand for a specific title grows over the past 12 months compared to the speed of demand growth for the average title. So when we talk about momentum, we can think about what is trending. In this view, we have on the vertical axis the Latin momentum, and in the horizontal axis the global momentum. So let's read this chart together. Superhero series, animated sitcom, and action fantasy, for example, are trending globally and in the Latin region. Sci-fi action from the US is trending globally, but not in Latin. And animated sitcom and school from Great Britain are genres trending in Latin. On the right side again, we have the most in demand show by subgenre, where we can see, for example, that superhero from the US is driven by Young Justice. And now let's look at the demand in the Latin region. And here we see the demand by subgenre indexed to the average type. The shows that you see in the bars exemplifies the most in demand show for each respective subgenre. We can see that preschool is a subgenre most in demand for the region, having Paw Patrol as the title most in demand. And just to share something very interesting about Paw Patrol, why kids love it, love the show. The show has music, which is easy to learn. This makes the children sing with their parents. The show has dogs, and we know that kids love dogs. In addition, all the episodes, they have the same format, so they are very easy to follow. And at the final ingredient, we can talk about, fun situations. So the show has the best ingredients for animated content: dogs, music, and fun situations. And just reminding that our data, the metadata, is updated daily in every market around the world. So we are able to access demand on an individual market level, region, and globally. And we know that there is no way to succeed without understanding the nuances in each market. And the good news is that there is still room for new animation productions and good opportunity for streamers. This chart reflects the global distribution of supply and demand for animated digital originals across the main platforms in the Q2 2022. Each little circle represents a title. We have established here at Parrot 5 different demand distribution thresholds that a show can fall into, and from below average to exceptional demand. And just a quick note that we have only 2.7% of the content in the outstanding demand bucket. Interesting that when look at this chart, we can see that there is a lot of opportunity for animated content on these platforms. For example, we can see that we still have room for titles that fall into the outstanding and exceptional demand. And again, how to use the data for strategic decisions. As a production company, I can access supply and demand by platform availability to target platforms' specific needs. And each platform catalog has its strengths. So here we see the shows most in demand during the Q2 2022 in the US by platform. And the most in-demand titles on Netflix, for example, are anime content. On Prime Video, we have preschool, Disney Plus with originals, and on HBO Max, we have content from Cartoon Network and some adult animation. So the last section that we will cover today, we are going to dive into how to leverage demand to attract and retain audience. So let's start with the high potential for franchises. Here we see the TV series most in demand globally and its move franchises. As you know, franchises play a large role with animated content. It is important for customer acquisitions, for growth, for retention, and for distribution decision making, and also a good way to ensure the brand's longevity. It's just an important data that can reflect this. The average demand of Disney original franchise shows are nearly 3 times the average demand for non-franchise shows available on Disney Plus. So this kind of insights and some others you can find in the paper doc, Parrot Perspective #4, Framing a Franchise, that we just released in the market. And continue with franchise. Here we see some moves most in demand in the last Q2 2022. And we can see that 4 out of 5 titles are based on existing animation or entertainment properties. And here I would like to share something interesting about Doctor Strange move, which is 2022 American superhero film based on Marvel comics, featuring the character Doctor Strange. So to understand the complexity of the multiverse ahead of the theatrical release of Doctor Strange, we had What If helping to understand and giving clues to what's going on. So good strategy for keeping consumers engaged with the content. And another halo effect that we can see when we are talking about animated content is the impact of a new release has on the older ones. So for example, here we have in the purple line, the daily demand for Batman animated TV series since January 2021 to May 2022. And we can see that right after the release of a new Batman movie, in yellow here, we can see a big demand spike for the Batman TV series. And how can we use the data? This can be used for programming strategies, such as TV series marathon. We can re-release of the originals for additional monetizing opportunities, or when promoting a new title, or to remake or create a spin-off of these titles, since the IPs are on the top of our mind since today. Sorry. Here we have the example with The Boys as a great strategy. So on the left side, we can see The Boys, the live action series performance. So with exceptional demand, with 45 times more demand than the average title, and franchisability, which indicates the spin-off potential for a title with almost 26 times higher than average title. And by the way, only 2.7% of all TV shows have this level of franchisability. On the right side, we see the animated content. The Boys presents Diabolical, sorry, which is, as I said, animated TV series with 8 episodes, and was launched before The Boys season 3. So during Q2 2022, the show had outstanding demand with 18 times more demand than the average title. Something very interesting to mention is that since the debut of The Boys Diabolical, many people have speculated what it would be like to see those moments translated into the live action version. And Eric Kripke, the creator of The Boys, shared in his Twitter that the final episode of The Boys Presents Diabolical was fundamental to understanding the events of The Boys season 3. So, and good strategy. And our data shows that this is a really good strategy. And we have noticed that in the recent years, there is an upward trend in expanding some franchise in a different format as animated content. The same happens with animated content to live action. A move that can exemplifies this is Thor, Love and Thunder. So we can see that from June to July 21st, the move had 110 times higher demand than the average tide, and reminding that only 0.2% of all titles in the market have this level of demand. Now, talking a little bit about talent demand, we have here the daily demand for voice actors of Minions, which was released on July 1st. And we can see that Steve Carell in the purple line has a very stable demand, and it was not impacted by the time of the move was released. However, demand for less popular talents increases with the premiere of the move, as we can see in the other lines. But what does it mean for the entertainment industry? What is the value that it can bring to the move? It is a good opportunity, for marketing or promotional purposes to work with the talents to increase the demand for the move. So another insights that I would like to share is that kids animation can generate 2-3 times more value on streaming platform. So since the move demand is an agnostic platform, we can compare moves on the same scale regardless of their release type. So in other words, we can compare a theatrical release to a streaming release. And this graph shows the global daily demand for Encanto movie since October 2021 to May 2022. Encanto was in the theaters just 30 days to ensure that it would be available on Disney Plus for the holidays. And we can see that at the theatrical release, the move had an exceptional demand. And when it hits Disney Plus, the demand spikes. So Encanto was able to deliver on both fronts. So having Encanto in the theaters and then on Disney Plus, where it was available to consumers for no additional cost, helped booster demand for the move. Another data that I want to share with everyone here, it's about consumption affinity. Parrot Analytics has an industry unique data set of consumption from the daily tracking of open streaming data. So based on this view, we can see the Encanto move and the moves that people are also watching. Here we are talking about the last 7 days. And we can see that besides animated content, the audience also watch different types of content like Eternal, No Time to Die, for example. The animated content can, reach diverse audience. And this view is also available on our 360 portal for our clients. And just sharing some insights about how can we use this data as a OTT platform, maybe suggesting titles to increase the likelihood of the subscribers get engaged on another title, understand how to leverage existing assets to actively reduce churn after a new season or release of a specific show, and also identifying acquisitions opportunities. And the last information that I would like to share today, it's about the global expansion. So here we have Mash and the Bear, which is a Russian animated content, and as an example, as a good example of global expansion. The show has ranked within the top 5 of children's content since 2020, and we have some reasons for it. We can say that this good performance is because its universality. So Masha and Bear presents a family relationship. Also, the show is well produced, fun, and has few dialogues, making stories even more accessible to foreign audiences. On the right side, we can see these in our data where we are sharing travelability for the content, Mash and the Bear, from January to June 2022. And travelability indicates the popularity of the show outside of its home markets. So for example, here we can see Brazil, that represents 63% of the demand in its country of origin. Another good opportunity for global expansion is that animated content can bring live experience into the local markets. So during the latest, most famous South American parade, there were giant balloons with Masha and the Bear. And again, how to use the data. As a producer, would be great to know what kind of content generates more travelability index. If I am trying to acquire a content, would be great if it works globally or in any specific market. It can inform pre-release and marketing distribution strategies, identifying where to locate market resources. And also we can leverage probability to pick out titles that resonate globally and appeal to a diverse audience. So this concludes our presentation today. Of course, there are so much more that can be done with our data to help the markets. But unfortunately, today we don't have time. But I just want to say before we go to the Q&A session that if you want to know more about anything or a specific topic, you just need let me know. Just reach in my email, and I'm gonna be more than happy to help you with the questions. So back to you, Rebecca.
Awesome. Thank you. So I just wanted to let everybody know we are aware the chat was disabled. Audrey, I don't know if you heard me during the call, but I just, for some reason, our chat wasn't turned on. So my apologies to everyone. If you do have a question, you can email Audrey directly in her email, which was in the previous slide. And then what I also wanted to note is what we're looking at right now is Demand 360 Lite, which is our entertainment analytics suite. A lot of what Audrey showed today is available on Lite. We also have an enterprise version that most of our clients here are using, and you can go really deep into the daily demand and other metrics, like Audrey was talking about momentum and reach. Those are all available in Demand 360 Enterprise. For webinar attendees, we offer a 30% discount. Normally I leave it in the chat instead today, just because chat isn't working right now. We will include that link in the email that's sent after. So often people have questions, is this presentation recorded and being sent? Yes, within the next 24 or 48 hours, you will get an email with the presentation recording and the presentation itself, and then also links to some of the things that Audrey had mentioned. So thank you very much, Audrey. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
And the other thing I also want to say, just because we love the engagement during these webinars, and which we sadly missed, if you do have a question now, you can always tweet us at Parrot Analytics, and I can be on Twitter and we can try to answer that quickly. We have a few more minutes, so I'm just going to go ahead and ask some of the questions that were sent before the webinar. One of the first ones that we received is this. While SVODs have long been considered king for premium content, AVODs and FASTs, free ad-supported streaming TV, have grown a lot in recent years. And Tubi, for example, has started to turn out exclusive animated series. With this in mind, do you see AVODs and FASTs ramping up production on original animated content?
What we can see is that they already have some animated content in its catalog, but about the increase of digital content, this is something that we can investigate. But what I can tell now is that animated content is very powerful for any kind of service, as we just saw, has very potential for franchises, can reach different diverse audience. I think that was like in the beginning of the presentation where we had like the demand and supply. We were able to see that animation content has high demand, but not enough supply to meet their demands. So I do believe that there is a white space opportunity for animated content with good quality in any kind of service.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Our demand versus supply quadrant chart, which you showed, is like the perfect example of seeing that there is high demand and low supply, which represents that opportunity. So the next question is, are there the same opportunities present for anime style content under the umbrella term animation? What are we seeing about anime? We've talked a lot about anime in the past. Are we still seeing opportunity for anime content? Yeah, for sure. The anime content has been growing a lot in the recent years. At the beginning of the presentation, we saw that Japanese animation is trending globally, which means that now the demand has been growing a lot in the past 12 months. And we have two good examples about anime that we can talk today. We have Arcane from Netflix, and then we have Attack on Title as well as a good content. I just finished a project with anime, so I have some data on my mind. So I can tell you that Arcane has like 40 times more demand than the average title in all markets. And at its peak in demand, the show had like 50 times higher demand than the average title. When we talk about Attack on Title, last year, it was the most demand show in all markets. And I'm pretty sure that nowadays is the same. The last time that I was analyzing the title, it was in the second place of the rank. Just after the Stranger Things, because because of the new season of the show, but showing us that it is a good content to work with. Awesome. Okay, last question, and then we'll wrap it up. So related to kind of big hits, Squid Game is a foreign language scripted drama that's become one of the world's most watched TV series ever. Outside of anime, is the global audience ready for adult animated series in the genre space, so not comedy, that are produced in territories like Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and the Philippines? Great question. Yeah, just a little bit of contents before I try to answer. I think that with the OTT services, it is much more easy to access, content now. So I think that with that, we can see some relevant OTT investing with local content. So I think that it is a trend now.
specifically about Malaysia, we have some, I know that we are talking about adult content here, but we have some kids animation with good performance. So, and also we know that we have good, great studios there that are investing more and more in the IP, local IPs. So I think that yes, there is space for animated content from these countries. And I also believe that it's much more about the content, the quality of the content, and not about the country of origin of the content.
I think that's so interesting. And I see it also in some of the other international kids content, specifically like Masha and the Bear from Russia, Miraculous Ladybug from France. It will be interesting to see if we have this crossover from these Asian countries creating animated content, because we already see demand for kids animated content from other countries. You know, the story, like you said, the universality of Masha and the Bear is what makes it so appealing to all audiences. So it doesn't really matter anymore where it's from, as long as it's a great story and it's engaging and fun, people will engage with it.
And I believe that people, they want to know more about, new cultures, and they are open for it. Yeah.
I think so. Audrey, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for attending. We so appreciate your time and spending it with us. Like I mentioned earlier, we will send out an email after this with a recording of the presentation and the slides, and then a few links, including the Demand 360 Lite discount and some other interesting articles. Audrey had mentioned our latest newsletter, Parrot Perspective, written by Julia Alexander, and that's all about franchises. So there's a lot of interesting info, crossover information there. We'll include a link to that in the email. And we will see everybody next time. Keep following us at Parrot Analytics, and we'll promote our next Parrot Analytics Live. Again, thank you so much for being here, and I hope everybody has a great day or evening or morning, wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Bye.